Hey everybody, how y'all doing? This is Mike Hines here with Life Outdoor Survival. Well, y'all, like I was telling you in the last couple of videos, it's winter time here in Kentucky. And y'all, they calling for maybe some bad weather coming in this next few days. Could be kind of stranded at home for a couple of days. So what I want to do, y'all, I'm going to fix a real hearty meal that'll last us for the next few days if that's what it come to. What I'm going to be making today, y'all, I've been making this for a while. This is my own recipe. I call this Buckeye Stew. And y'all kind of see why I call it Buckeye Stew here in a minute. But first thing we're going to do, we're going to get this thing heating up. We're going to throw 2 tablespoons of butter off in a pan. And y'all, I've already got about 3 pounds of venison already diced up and processed up for stew meat. We'll get this butter melting here and we'll be ready to do our thing. This is a real good hearty recipe, y'all. I've been making this for I don't know, good probably 15 years, maybe 20, I guess. Alright, that butter's going to kind of melt down there a little bit. It ain't going to take long. We got this thing cranked up till this butter melts. Alright, about the time our butter gets melting, y'all, I'm going to take this 3 pounds of venison. Like I said, I've already cleaned it up and got it chopped up and processed up. This is venison out of the freezer. Actually, I used a part of the neck roast for this. It ought to be really good and tender. Ought to cook up kind of fast. And while I've got just the meat in there, y'all, I've got a little mix here I did. This is, let me see, I put 1 tablespoon of garlic, 1 tablespoon of Creole seasoning, 1 tablespoon of black pepper, 1 teaspoon of salt, 1 teaspoon of cilantro, and 1 teaspoon of parsley flakes. And we're going to put that off in our meat. All right. We're going to kind of stir that around, kind of get this stuff covered in seasoning, get that butter melted down. And we're going to let this kind of sear, y'all, just until the outside of the venison starts kind of braising a little bit, turning brown. And we're going to let that go and start braising, y'all, and then I'll get right back with you. Alright, y'all. Y'all can see our venison meat is just starting to kind of brown on the outside. What I'm going to do, y'all, while that's starting to brown a little bit, I've got a few cans of sliced mushrooms. Can't hardly get fresh mushrooms this time of year around here. We're going to throw some mushrooms off in there, kind of let that sear along with the meat. These small cans of mushrooms, I'm going to probably add at least 2 cans. We'll stir it up a little bit, see what it looks like. I think we can't have too many mushrooms. We're going to have 1 more can of mushrooms in there, y'all. I don't figure we can have too many. Alright. Now we're going to kind of mix all that in. Let that kind of stew there for a few minutes. Finish letting the meat brown up. I'm trying to just get this meat seared just a little brown on the outside, but not let it cook too much in the middle, because I want the natural juices of the meat to blend in with my soup. Alright. Alright. We'll go from right there, y'all. We'll let that kind of sit there and simmer a little bit. I'm going to turn this up a little. Kind of let that simmer a little bit. See if we can get this meat a little browner, and then we'll be right back at it, y'all. Well, y'all can see we got the steam rolling here. I'm hoping this other camera's catching the angle, ain't getting fogged up. Steam could be fogging it up. Anyway, y'all, I've got this kind of seared, the meat kind of seared the way I want it. Mushrooms are starting to get tender. So next thing I'm going to do, y'all, I've got 2 cups of water. I'm going to take and add 1 package of Lipton onion soup and mix, recipe mix. Really like that stuff, y'all. It gives a good flavor to meat. Y'all notice I'm putting a lot of my seasonings in there with just my meat and mushrooms in there. And the reason for that, because I want my meat to have a good flavor by itself. And then I'll add all my juices and vegetables and stuff. And we'll add a few more seasonings. And as we go, just so our soup and vegetables have some good seasoning. Y'all, all I'm doing is this is cold water so it dissolves good. Just going to kind of stir this onion soup mix up. And also, I'm going to take one package brown gravy mix. Y'all, I'm just using this, I'm using it for a thickener, but also for the flavor of the brown gravy on that meat. I think will be a pretty good flavor. And just kind of stir this up, y'all. Alright, while we're stirring that up, I'm going to take a little bit of liquid smoke. This is a hickory flavor liquid smoke. And I'm going to add, I'm just guessing here, I'm probably going to add about 1 teaspoon of liquid smoke to my gravy mix. My gravy mix and my Lipton soup mix. And stir that up real good, y'all, where it don't leave no clumps. We want it dissolved good before we add it in there with that hot water, because it's going to thicken when it starts hitting it. But I want all this stuff on the meat before I add the soups and stuff, just so the flavor gets into the meat too. Alright, y'all, we got that dissolved up pretty good. We're just going to pour this off in there. Get all the onions there out of that soup mix. Alright, y'all. I'm going to stir that real good. Oh, y'all wouldn't believe the smell coming off of that. Alright, y'all, we're going to let that kind of cook down a little bit. We'll be ready to add some vegetables and stuff to it. Alright, y'all. Y'all can see, it's just right before the gravy's starting to thicken up. And one good way to tell is the dehydrated onions in the Lipton onion soup mix. They've softened up. That's a good way to tell. Now, y'all, if you wanted to, you could take this just the way it is. Turn it down on low, let it simmer to where it would thicken up. And I've done this. Take you a bit of long grain and wild rice, put this over top of it. Y'all, you talk about good. But anyway, now that this stuff is at this stage to where the onions are just starting to soften up, we're going to start putting some vegetables in. I've got 2 cups of sliced potatoes. We're going to put that in there. I've got 1 can. Now, y'all, we're using some store-bought vegetables too, because this time of year we're just out of fresh vegetables and canned vegetables. Alright, we got our corn in there. We're going to do 1 can of carrots. And y'all, this is one of the reasons I call this buckeye stew. Not only is it made from deer meat, the buck side of it, I also use black-eyed peas. Black-eyed peas kind of favor a buckeye. And y'all, it's just a name that kind of got started. Years ago I made this for some of my buddies, and he said, what do you call that stuff? He'd been down sick for a week or so. I made a big batch of this and took him a bunch of it, and he said next day, he said it was a miracle. Next day he's well. And I don't know about all that, y'all, but that's where the name come from. As y'all can see, them black-eyed peas in there, they look kind of like little buckeyes. But I call this buckeye stew, y'all. That's what I call it. And alright, now I'm also going to add 2 cans of diced tomatoes. Okay. Stir that in real good. Now, I'm going to add about a quart and a half. We're going to start with about a quart. Of tomato juice. And I'm just kind of going by color here, y'all. I don't want too much tomato in it, but yeah, that brown gravy and stuff in there kind of changes the color. Yeah, we're going to stop with about a quart of tomato juice. For now, we can always add more. And I don't want to get this too, I'm going to add a little more. I don't want to get this too thin. I want it to be more like a stew than a soup. Alright. Alright, y'all. Now, I'm going to turn that up on about a high medium. Kind of let that cook there for about another I'll probably let that cook for about 30 minutes. And then I'm going to come back, kind of taste the soup off of it. We may add a few more seasonings and stuff. And we got one more ingredient that goes in. And we got to be a little closer to getting done before we add it. But anyway, y'all stick with me. I'll be right back at you, and we'll see how this Buckeye stew turns out. Alright, y'all. Y'all can see it's looking like a stew. It's got to thicken up just a little bit, but I told y'all earlier we have one more ingredient. Y'all, usually I use long grain and wild rice, but I was out of that, so we're just using white rice. I'm going to put in one small bag of white rice. Just to see how much that's going to be. We're probably going to end up using 2. And that rice is going to thicken it up a little bit too. Yeah, I think we're going to have to use 2. I'm going to turn this down a little bit, y'all. About a low medium. Now we just want it to kind of soak the flavors in. I'm going to add that second bag of rice. I like quite a bit of rice in it. Alright. That rice stirred in good. We're not going to let it really get hot enough now to boil the rice. We're just going to kind of let it soak on about a low medium, maybe a high low heat. Not very hot at all. Probably on a setting of about 3 of 1 to 10. Alright. Now, since I've got everything in there, I want to taste just the soup. Tomato juice has still got just a little bite to it. So what I'm going to do, y'all, I'm going to add about 2 tablespoons of granulated white sugar. And that's just going to be enough to kind of take that bitter edge of the tomato off. And y'all, it needs a few more seasonings now that we've got everything in there. So I don't want this to start sticking, especially with that rice in there. Turn it down just a hair more. Alright, we're going to add about another half a tablespoon, about a teaspoon probably of salt. I think we got enough pepper and stuff. We're going to add a little bit more parsley flakes to it. Just to add a little greenery in there. And what else was I going to put in there? Let me see. it thyme. Some people call it thyme, some people call it thyme. We add just probably about a half a teaspoon. Let's see what that does for us. Well, I'll tell y'all, it's smelling good. Smelling real good. Alright, y'all. We're going to let that sit there on a low heat. Kind of simmer for probably about another hour. And then we'll see how it turns out, y'all. Y'all stick with us. Well, y'all, there's our finished product. That's been simmering kind of a low boil for about probably 30 more minutes. And I done got a little bit out here, kind of got it cooled off where I can try it. See what this is going to be like, y'all. Okay, pieces of carrots, stew meat, deer, venison, tomatoes, black-eyed peas. Y'all, I'm telling you. Y'all, it's got a flavor all its own. And you know, now if it snows, we got something to sustain us for at least probably 3 days, you know, as long as we can keep it from spoiling. But anyway, y'all, that is my recipe for what I call Buckeye stew. I just want to tell y'all, appreciate you watching. If you would, please like and subscribe to our videos, and we'll see y'all next time. I'll have me a little more of that. Fry up some cornbread fritters. Ooh, I'll be ready.